So, all
Yeah.
right, moving on. Final thing for this week's version. It's been a fun show already. Gary, thing number 5 of the video, and thing number 3 in your written version. Economically illiterate people say silly things.
Yeah. Yeah. So at this point, anybody who is in the world of finance, who, reads the newspapers, the Wall Street Journal has been writing about this. I think it was Greg Ip who's been writing about how, we as Americans are not appreciating our fantastic economy. And we talked about this last week, Rob. All these people, are saying, oh, we have a marvelous, wonderful economy, and you ungrateful Americans don't appreciate it. We've poked holes in that many, many times before. The truth is inflation is worse than people are letting on. The great jobs market is that there's no increase in full-time jobs. It's all part-time jobs. All of the new jobs are going to people who were born in other countries. People who were born in the US, who are US citizens, have not had no job growth, I think, since 2018 in full-time work. So, we've talked a lot about how people love to talk about how we should be more grateful for this wonderful economy. And the latest is you also have asset gatherers who are mutual fund managers and other managers, financial managers who get paid based on their assets under management. And the reason they want lower interest rates is lower interest rates blow up huge asset bubbles. So an increasing market, if they can get the market to go up 20% on lower interest rates, guess what? Their paycheck goes up 20%. So of course they want that. They're not saying what they think is best for the country. They're talking their own book. On top of all of that, Congress and the White House have been talking about trying to get lower mortgage rates and encouraging giveaways or mortgage rate buy downs to help home buyers, including people who have entered the country in violation of federal immigration law. So, my question is, do any of these people, including people in the White House and in Congress, do any of these people understand cause and effect? The same massive governmental stimulus that caused inflation, right? We're all enjoying this inflation. Guess what? That was because of money printing. That was because of trillions of dollars of governmental stimulus. And on top of that, the same people who had interest rates at or around zero for a decade and a half, that blows up asset bubbles. That's the reason home prices are so high. And so, because these people don't understand cause and effect, what they want to do is add financial stimulus and lower interest rates to help home buyers. Those are the things that caused home prices to be as insanely high as they are now. And they're saying, well, we're going to help the buyers. No, you're not. You're going to help the sellers. And that's fine, right? If I were going to sell my house, I'd want a big price for it. But the idea that the government is going to provide stimulus and somehow target it so that it only helps the buyers is completely ridiculous. That is going to make its way into higher home prices, as it always does, because again, these people are economically illiterate. They say silly things and they don't understand cause and effect. Clear enough?
Yeah, that's definitely fair enough, Gary. And I had a question. I was looking at the takeaway on the written things, right? And you talked about retirees, savers. They like this in the sense of like, okay, earning 4 to 5% on their cash sitting in the bank. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go to bat and ask you a question for the young people, right? I
Yeah.
saw a chart. I probably should know the reference of it, but it was just the amount of wealth that's been accumulated over the last 4 or 5 years, right? And the age bracket from 60 plus has been the largest gatherer of wealth over that period, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like young people are the ones that are really bearing the brunt of all of this. What's the message to them? What's any advice that you might have? Because it feels like that's who's really being squeezed the most in this market.
Yeah, Rob, you've got it nailed. And let's actually unravel it going from the older people down to the younger people. And by down, I simply mean in age, not in importance or anything else like that. So what happened was after the 2008 financial crisis, the government intervened through trillions of dollars of stimulus into the economy and lowered interest rates to zero. And again, when you lower interest rates, people frantically look for places to put their money. They don't save in their bank accounts because they're getting a 0% yield, right? We all remember just a couple of years ago, our checking accounts were yielding 0.01%, right? Or our savings accounts, 0.01%, right? So what happens is you end up with a huge bubble in asset prices. In this case, that would be homes and stocks. Well, Rob, who owns homes? That would be older people. And who owns stocks? That would be older people who have been saving for years and investing for years and have 401k plans. It takes a little while to start to develop that kind of wealth. Now, when government officials start talking about how horrible high interest rates are for these people, that's a bunch of nonsense. And yeah, mortgage rates did go up, but housing prices haven't come down yet. They need to. That's one of the things that will help lower housing prices. But a key thing is all of these retirees went from earning 0.01% on their cash balances. Now they're getting 4 or 5%. If you're a retiree, this is fantastic. So for all the government officials who are saying we need to have lower rates because these higher rates are hurting people, not necessarily. There are trillions of dollars of extra income that retirees or people who are saving in dollars are getting. Now, let's go to young people. I get it. I understand why they're so frustrated because so many jobs have been outsourced. The value of labor, the issue of job security, these things have all been completely destroyed. And these young people are saying, wait a minute, I don't have a lot of job security. I'm not making a ton of money. They have a ridiculous amount of school debt, which, by the way, the reason your educational debt is so high is because that's been heavily subsidized by the government. It's the government that took over the educational funding market. They made unlimited amounts of credit available. What do you think happened? Prices went up. The reason you guys, by you guys, I mean young people, have so much educational debt is because the government started subsidizing education and started providing financing. So the universities raised their prices. It was in the weekend's news that there are universities that are now charging $100,000 a year. They're doing that not because you 18 and 19-year-olds can afford that. They're doing that because the government is giving you a temporary lease on it, right? So these policies that they say are there to help you are destroying you. But then what happens is we have young people who, they only earn a certain amount and they're looking at the astronomical price of housing and they're saying, wait a minute, how can we buy a house? Where's our chance to participate in the American dream? This is a completely reasonable complaint, right? I understand why they're angry, dejected, delaying commitment, delaying marriage, not sure of themselves. They have a huge amount of anxiety over the future. And it's really easy. Rob, it's really easy to make fun of them and say, oh, yeah, you're all just a bunch of snowflakes who need safe spaces. Okay. Some of that stuff may be ridiculous, but let's be realistic. The concerns that many of these young people have are completely valid, completely legitimate. And if you and I were 22 years old and had school debt and we're only making a certain amount and we started to look at the cost of buying a home, which right now is completely unaffordable, we'd be feeling the same way. We'd be feeling pessimistic about the future. We'd be worried about the economy. We'd be feeling anxiety. People like to act like the anxieties and concerns and upset of these young people is them being fragile. I disagree. I think these are valid concerns. I think these people are upset for a really good reason. Here's the thing. All of the people who are claiming, and now I'm speaking to the young people who are upset about this, all of the people in government who are claiming they want to help you, everything they're doing is why you are having a hard time now. It is governmental intervention in the educational market. That's the reason why you guys have so much school debt. That's why education is so expensive. It was government intervention in the interest rate market and the mortgage market. By the way, the Federal Reserve owned $2.5 trillion of mortgage-backed securities that they are not allowed to own, right? Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all kinds of governmental or quasi-governmental agencies were intervening in the mortgage market. And what do you think happened? We didn't end up with regular home prices and inexpensive mortgages. We ended up with astronomical home prices. And now they're talking about helping more. And one of the things we've talked about a lot, right? Everybody loved the COVID stimmies, right? We got checks, $800, $1,000, $1,600. Oh, great, free money. Well, guess what? The inflation that we're experiencing now is because the government printed trillions of dollars and just vomited it out into the economy. We had more money chasing fewer goods. That's why things are so expensive. So, what I would recommend for all of you is don't drop out, right? A lot of people are saying act your wage, quiet quitting, don't really work hard, don't try. I think that's a dead end. I think it's both a dead end financially and also emotionally and spiritually. Going through life just checking boxes and not being passionate about anything, not being driven about anything, I don't think that leads to a good life. And I understand why a lot of you are angry, why a lot of you are frustrated, why a lot of you feel like it's pointless to do that. The companies that you work for aren't paying you enough and they're not going to return that loyalty. I get it. But my advice for you is to continue working, make yourself valuable, put yourself in a position where you know so much and you understand your craft and your business so well that you'll be able to start something of your own down the road. Try to save and invest. Don't save in dollars. Saving in dollars is a disaster. But start to look at things like stocks, gold, Bitcoin, right? If you're 22, 23, a lot of your friends are saving in Bitcoin. That's a great thing to do. Now, some of you are going to say, hey, wait a minute. I don't have money for that. I'm doing all I can to make ends meet. And what I'm going to tell you is it's okay to start small. Even if you're just putting away $10 a week, right? That's the cost of going out for a beer in Manhattan, right? Even if it's just $10 a week, start small, but make a habit. Save, but don't save in dollars because that's going to be debased. And then you're going to hate me for this, and I apologize, but start to learn about finance. What you're being taught about finance and economics is all MMT, modern monetary theory, and Keynesian finance. That stuff is all a lie. It's designed to make everybody think that the government can simply create as much money as it needs to, and there's no cost, and we can all have everything that we want and never pay for it. But here's the deal, young people. All of that free stuff, all of that spending, all of those giveaways. Hey guys, who do you think's getting the bill for that? Right? It's not my parents in their 80s. You guys are going to get the bill on that. If you're listening to this and you're in your 20s or you're in your 30s, if you're a Zoomer or a millennial, you're getting the bill for this. I am as well, but it's a separate matter, right? You're going to get the bill for this. And so understand that none of these things are free. None of these government programs are free. None of these giveaways are free. You're going to pay for it in inflation. You're going to pay for it in higher rent. Nobody's going to send you a bill and say, well, we had these government programs, here's your share. It's just milk is going to cost you $5 or $6. You know, the price of a beer in Manhattan is going to go to $20. Your rent is unaffordable. This is what happens. And so start to educate yourself on this. Start to learn about Austrian economics or just basic common sense that says nothing is here for free. Again, I get why a lot of you guys are angry and frustrated and anxious, and those feelings are totally valid. The only thing I will tell you is there are things you can do. It is not hopeless. Your life isn't over. Your financial life isn't over. You have a lot of resources at your disposal. And even here at Deep Knowledge Investing, you guys just saw Andrew come on, and he's getting a great finance education working directly with me. But one of the things that we've done at Deep Knowledge Investing, because we believe so strongly in educating young people and helping young people understand finance, the markets, good financial practices that will set you up for a life of prosperity, or at least a life of not being a debt slave. We have a special program for students where we offer students a subscription to Deep Knowledge Investing for what you're paying for your Netflix subscription. And if that makes sense, great, we'll help you. And if learning about finance and understanding the kinds of things you can do to protect yourself from all of the nonsense that's making your life hard, if that's not worth the cost of your Netflix subscription, that's totally cool. I respect that. And, hope you're watching something great. Like, no hard feelings either way, but we do have people taking advantage of that because it matters to them and they want to prepare for a better life. But either way, I respect your decision and I understand why you guys are angry, and your feelings are totally valid.
Great stuff, Gary. I think that'll be one where I'll definitely be marketing that as if you consider yourself a young person, which I think it even 20s, 30s, even those in their 40s, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was with entrepreneur on yesterday, actually, Sunday, and barber, 40 years old, lives at home with his mom, but he's put everything he has into his business, right? And trying to make it and work and grind and I mean that's really what it's about. And I think you hit the nail on the head in a lot of ways in that yeah, there is frustration. There is a lot of feelings. And I even sometimes feel it, right? Like, how am I going to get ahead? How am I going to catch up? But I think you're exactly right. It's focusing on what you can control, learning, creating more value for yourself, becoming more well-rounded, networking. I think a lot of times is a lost art, asking people for help and support or even just advice, right? I think you're a great example, just someone I can go to get advice from, and I've a lot of others too. People are genuinely, I still think, at the end of the day, willing to help and support, assuming you're in that same like-mindedness, right? Finding people that have the same values as you, same outlook, perspectives, I think helps tremendously as well. So, great stuff, Gary. Appreciate that. And this week's 5 things, the Shockwave takeover issue comes to a conclusion. Gary, any final thoughts before we wrap for today?
Yeah, Rob, I love your last point about curate the people you spend time with and ask questions. And one of the things I really enjoy is the interaction I have with Deep Knowledge Investing subscribers. I get emails from them every week, and they're personal to the extent that somebody's sitting at their kitchen table trying to figure out their
Yeah.
finances.
Yeah.
And I'm not a registered investment advisor. Our goal is just to help people make more money. Um, but that applies to all of us. Nobody's too good for it. And the reason Deep Knowledge Investing has, what do we have now? I think 20 people on the board of advisors. It's because I have people I go to
Hmm.
for advice. And the beauty of being a more senior, seasoned person is you build these networks of people who are phenomenal in their field. And so, I don't just receive these calls and emails. I'm constantly calling people I know who know more than I do about a particular topic, a particular subject, and saying, hey, what do you think about this? Or how are you handling this? Or, what would you do in this situation? And we go back and forth on that. Like, whoever you are, whatever stage you are at in life, go find people who know more than you do about stuff, get to know them, ask them questions, be open, listen. And then when people come to you for advice, be generous with your time, be generous with your energy, be there for them. It's just a good way to go through life.
No doubt. Gary, thanks so much for your time. As always, we'd love if you would consider a premium subscription for Deep Knowledge Investing so that we can continue to provide you these high value, deep knowledge research ideas and insights. Gary's 5 Things monthly newsletter. Be sure to at least subscribe for a free subscription online. You'll get notifications about certain material. Not all of that may be accessible because we do value, obviously, our premium subscribers that support us on a monthly basis. Good call out as well, Gary. I think for students that have interest, please don't hesitate to reach out through our contact form on the website, myself or Gary personally as well. We can definitely get that tuned up for you and ready to go. Now, as always, yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And thank you for helping us build DKI. Gary, closing remarks.
Uh, First of all, congratulations to all the Deep Knowledge Investing subscribers who just made a ton of money on Shockwave. Great having that ride with you guys. Love getting the emails and knowing that you guys all made a lot of money, and that's just rewarding. For the rest of you, thank you so much for your time. We know it's valuable. We appreciate you watching and spending this time with us. And Rob, thank you, and great seeing you as always.
Likewise. Thanks, Gary.
All right, so long, everyone.